Hello.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
Marcus.
Hi, how are you doing this morning?
Great, great. I'm so happy to welcome you to a JabuMind discussion with teachers, people working with kids, and also really our audience has really grown through the pandemic to be quite broad. And it's people looking for those tools to put them to help deal with the nervous system and deal with all the emotions and beliefs that come up. And I just thought you would be a fantastic person and you're a fantastic human to have on to be able to speak to another way that you have found in sort of your life's journey to work with difficult emotions with the nervous system. And in the JabuMind app, we have that lesson 5, which is all about breath. And we know breath is a huge piece. And we, as the JabuMind audience knows, we have the breathe now because that's something that can really help you quickly do your tap into where you are and have this mindfulness moment of where you really where you really want to be and be responding instead of reacting. So without talking too much about the app, because what's exciting is that we're going to all of our listeners, bring Marcus into the app and share another way that the breath can benefit all of our listeners. So Marcus and I met at a high school. We were both very passionate about working with athletes, particularly high school athletes. We're both big basketball fans, but I was coaching the women's team and Marcus is a trainer, a personal trainer. He goes by the handle, the Breathin Vegan. He brings light and joy to all that he does. And I'm excited to have this conversation. So welcome, Marcus, and let's dive in.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for having me and the amazing intro. Hopefully I don't undersell.
Not at all, not at all.
Yeah.
So tell us, I don't know if people have heard, and we will put some of these things up about the Wim Hof method and sort of what what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm Marcus. I am a Wim Hof method instructor. I feel like I do this every time with my classes, but if those who have never heard of Wim Hof, please look him up. He is this guy from the Netherlands who has just done all these crazy things, and he's done all these things as almost like a circus act to bring awareness to how powerful the breath is and how powerful our minds are. So he would do these things as climb Mount Everest in just his shorts. He ran like a marathon in the Arctic Circle with no socks and shoes, and had like the longest exposure to ice, like in Times Square. He like sat there and in like blocks of ice for like 3.5 hours, and his core body temperature never changed. All through the breathing that he didn't come up with, but just very much simplified. And also is the first person to ever scientifically prove that we can tap into our autonomic nervous system the way we can just through the breath, which is just amazing. So yeah, I found out about Wim Hof roughly 3 years ago and became obsessed. It was the first thing that really slowed my mind down. I would always kind of do these external things and go exercise or distract myself with TV or just anything external to like kind of get me to slow my brain down. And it was constantly running. And I had a buddy who showed me it and put me through a session. I think we did 3 rounds of the breathing, and it was phenomenal. Not only did like my brain stop, I was able to hold my breath on an exhale for like 2.5 minutes and just like get these sensations of just of I don't know, the tingling and all of these different things that were happening through my body that just felt amazing. And it put me in this nice, relaxed, euphoric state. And more importantly, it just slowed my brain down in such a amazing, beautiful way. To now where I like to call it like the gap. It's like the space in between my thoughts. And so much of like life is just happening so fast, and we get caught up in in all these moments and everything. And for me, it's just like being able to just let my brain take a breather and just like slow things down was just tremendous for me. So I went and wanted to learn how to do that more. I moved to the Netherlands during the pandemic, met Wim Hof's right hand man, and did a session with him. It was amazing. The cool thing about this was the whole session was completely in Dutch, and I like barely know like enough to get past anything. But it's such like breathing and being around a great community is all the language of the heart. And I was able to just really dive in deep and relate to them in a very beautiful way. And I was like, look, I don't, how do I do what you do? How do I learn this and be able to pass it on to people? Because I'm a personal trainer, but I would love to do this more. And he's like, you should become an instructor. And I looked into that, and it was awesome. I went to Poland, did all the training underneath their whole team. Wim Hof showed up for the last 2 days, did a lot of training and spent some time with him and had a great time. And just same thing, like the community, language of the heart, and saw people have amazing revelations through just breathing. Same thing with myself. We went really, really deep with the breath. And at that time, I was kind of going through some tough moments, and I was able to find it. It just shows that everything that you need is inside of you, and the breathing and going through it and just the effects of it just had me connect to myself in a very deeper level than I had never really done before. And now I'm just honored and blessed to be able to do that for people and help guide them through their journeys and reach out to as many people as possible, because it's an amazing thing. So many people look externally for so many different, like either medications or distractions or things to just make them feel okay, when all you have to do is just really pause and focus on the breath. And there's so many different breathing exercises and breath work modalities out there that I love this one because it's simple. I really love the fact that I'm such an active thinker that when I'm just sitting down and thinking about like meditating, I'm like thinking about how I shouldn't be thinking, but this is just, the more you focus on the breath, the more it just takes you to a whole another place. And it always ends up being exactly where I need to go. So I absolutely love this breathing method.
It's great. I think that whole point about the autonomic nervous system, that, right, our heart beats, we breathe, there's so much, but when we can move energy, and the breath is such this powerful tool that I see that the breath is something that's so ethereal, but yet we are in these physical bodies, and our physical bodies are experiencing pain. We're experiencing thought, like you mentioned, the mind, where, as we talk about in integrated restoration, or I rest, which is we're all feeling emotion, right? We're feeling all these different things. And when we can, instead of numbing out to these, or whether it's through social media or through distractions, like you said, of whatever else, which is super challenging in the society, or to condemn ourselves for having these thoughts, and then that negative tape comes in that way. I love how the breath, and you touched on it, is a way to be with yourself. Can you say a little bit more about the experiences that your students have and that you've had with this particular method, and why it is one that you would say, and I've heard you say this in your classes, things are going to come up, and you invite people, as I sort of believe too, is you invite people to be with that, because without being with it, it's a messenger that is trying to be there, and that's this physical experience of this human body that we're having right now. So I don't know if you want to speak a little bit to that, because I know that is something that, being human is such a challenge. We have all these really negative thoughts. We have either and beliefs and emotions. So I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. No, the emotions are extremely important. And as we take these, what the breathing is, it consists of 3 parts: the charge up, the retention, and the recovery breath. The charge up is just where we take these big, deep diaphragmatic breaths just through the belly, chest, let it go, belly, chest, let it go, in just succession. You can go as fast as you want, but nice and easy letting it go on the exhale. And when we do that, we're taking these big, deep belly breaths where we're just really pushing our diaphragm and activating our parasympathetic nervous system. And that is just bringing up a lot of stuff for like all the stuff throughout the years that you've either been pushing down or neglecting, or the emotions that I tell people, when you push it down and you breathe it back up, things will come up. So in my classes, I have people that are hysterically laughing. I have people that are hysterically crying. I have people that are just like upset about whatever's going on, but I tell them to look at it and not judge it. It wants to be seen, and is better out of you than in you. People are walking around just carrying around so much stuff and emotions that we feel like, and I see it a lot of times, especially in like Western society, we feel like we can't be vulnerable and talk about these things and let them out or express them. Or we look at some emotions as like, oh, these emotions are bad. I shouldn't be feeling anger. I shouldn't be feeling sadness. I shouldn't be feeling whatever it is. And it's like, this is such a place in the breathing and in the space I try to hold, is such a awesome opportunity for just people just to let go. So all of that stuff can come up and they see it. And it's just like cool to see the light kind of click in their head. And I'll have someone talking to me and they don't even realize that they're like crying. And they're just like, what is going on? And just like, it's coming out, and it has to come out some way or another. And what a beautiful thing that you can activate that, sit with it, see it, process it. And some people process it a few days later. Some people process it weeks later. And they're like, wow, like, and just leave feeling so much better than you came in with, and not even realizing the baggage that you were carrying before taking the time for yourself just to breathe and sit with that and just kind of see what the body is trying to tell you and what the emotional self is trying to tell you as well.
So powerful. So powerful. And I'm really excited that you've offered a whole a practice in the library that people can find. It gives a brief introduction, but it's also the practice is there. And I know from your website and Instagram, people can find other offerings so that they can get more of this. Was that what you would advise, to be able to find you?
Absolutely. I mean, find me. There's so many different ways of doing it. I know, like specifically with the Wim Hof method, there are so many different trainers depending on your area. And a lot of people, when they think of Wim Hof, they think of ice baths. And so the ice bath does come through. Unfortunately, I can't put an ice bath on the app. Technology hasn't helped us do that yet. But no, just anyone can reach out to me. There's so many different things. I do sessions on Zoom all the time. I try to be super patient and just, I have anybody who has questions and comments and concerns. And like, for example, I love my type A people. They come in and just, am I breathing wrong? And it's like, you've been breathing your whole life and you haven't done it wrong yet. So it's just like, there's no right or wrong way of doing it. It's just getting you out of that head. If I can provide a space to just get you out of your head, I've done my job, and you'll have an awesome experience as a result. So yeah, Zoom sessions, the audio session now on JabuMind, which is I'm super stoked and grateful to be a part of. Feel free. I put a small description on there as well. I didn't want any music on it. That way people can choose their own audio. If you want to play background music or if you don't want to or anything like that, you can have it in the background. And we just go through 3 rounds of it. And just be gentle with yourself. Take the time for yourself. Make sure you're never doing it when you're operating a vehicle. I made it or near a body of water. Stay safe and stay comfortable. But yeah, no, there's the opportunity now to take the time for yourself, and it's less than 15 minutes. It's very easy and very accessible to do. And I think that if you go into it with an open mind, you're going to get out of it a very awesome and amazing experience that you didn't think that you could provide to yourself. It's nothing that I'm doing. You're strictly the one breathing. I'm just a guide.
Yeah, beautiful, fantastic, so awesome. Okay, so we have to talk about it. The ice bath.
Yes.
So there's the breathing, and I think having instructed and brought breathing into the world through the app and JabuMind, I'm curious about the Wim Hof and the ice bath being generally after the breathing. Would you say it's done after the breathing, or it's in the ice bath, or what is the component, or what would you say the benefits of the ice bath is in pairing it with breathing?
So what the breathing does after, I always tell everybody, no matter what they're going to get out of it, whether they see things or they feel the sensations or anything, they're going to feel a lot more relaxed after the breathing than they did before coming in. And that's like 100. That's the one thing that bats 1,000. And then after we do the breathing, it puts you in a really nice euphoric state to prime your body to handle stress. And what the ice bath is just a massive ball of stress. There's nothing that's going to be, for the most part, and I speak from experience on my day to day, there's nothing more physically, mentally, spiritually taxing than probably the time I spend in an ice bath. It sucks. It's not fun, but the benefits of it are amazing. So being able to be put into that euphoric state and get your mind and just feel so relaxed. And then you get into the ice bath and the first thing you want to do is just tense up. And it's just like, relax, you're good, you're calm. Everything we just did, we just primed our body to do that. So the ice bath is like this almost really like mean reward for putting yourself in this really nice, relaxed state. But then after you get out of the ice bath, it's you feel amazing as well. What the ice bath does, it gives you a lot more energy. It boosts your immune system like crazy. It's natural. Its anti-inflammatory properties are amazing. I know that people that do it in the morning are naturally sleeping better at night. I try to not have people do it at night because it'll wake them up. Some people go to sleep like babies after they do it. For my athletes, it increases their sports performance and their workout recovery. And it just helps with so many different things in terms of like fibromyalgia, your arthritis, autoimmune disease, post-treatment for Lyme's disease, COPD management. It's just migraine reliefs. There's so many different things and benefits that the ice bath can do if done in a safe manner. So I know like Wim Hof is really big on just keeping it at 2 minutes, which I really love. I think a lot of people are getting into the ice bath now. And when it's how long can I tough it out? How long can I be in here? You get the same physiological benefits of 2 minutes as you would 10 minutes or 20 minutes without the effects of an after drop. And after drops aren't fun. After drops is when your core body temperature drops. 4 or 5 hours after the fact, you're shaking, you're cold, you're tired. And the ice bath is such an extreme thing to where if somebody has a bad experience with it, they're probably not going to want to get back in and not want to do it again and not want to chance it. So keeping everything safe and calm and just learning how to manage that stress in 2 minutes is a beautiful thing. So we don't do the breathing while we're in the ice bath, but the type of breathing I do, I just have people go in their nose for 4, out their mouth for 8. Just relax, try to relax on each exhale, and 2 minutes goes by like that. And it goes by quicker and quicker. And yeah, the ice bath is a beautiful thing. I like doing it because it sucks. It's one of the tougher things I know that I have to deal with, but everything in my day seems so much easier. And I'm able to handle things with such a better mentality and an attitude. If I know if I did the breathing in the ice bath before tackling the day.
Oh, and for those that are just wondering if ice bath is short or slang for something, it's kind of what it is. It's a bath with ice in it and water, right? So it's a cold bath. It's a cold tub of water. So, yeah, I just think sometimes it's interesting how nicknames might be something that it's what it sounds like. I feel like it's almost this confirmation of your resilience that you have a tool now to handle stress. And I feel like it's this, if you were looking for validation, that you have this inner strength and you have this inner tool now, which is always with you, which is your breath, to be able to handle what life throws at you. I feel like that ice bath is almost that, because you have the breath that you can manage the stress you have. And I feel like you never know when something is going to trigger you, right? Or trigger us. And the breath is always there with us. And so I feel like this is a wonderful validation that you offer after the breath work.
Absolutely. No, I think it's such a good thing to where I tell people all the time, if you can handle this, you can handle the guy cutting you off. You can handle the boss, like getting on your nerves, or I don't know, the in-laws
The
parents or something.
student.
Yeah, anything. The student, yeah, the students, the bad student that just is that you have no idea, you don't know what people are going through. And instead of having to react, you have a choice now. You can slow things down, you can kind of see where it at, assess the situation, and just be like, okay, cool, this is water off my back. I can't tell how many times like just this practice has changed my life. I think for me, I was always go, 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 and just like constantly running and constantly needing just to be somewhere and do something. And I don't have to do that anymore. I feel like my whole demeanor is a lot more calming, and just the way I look at things is just a lot slower, a lot more paused, and a lot more easy, and a lot more gentle with myself. So yeah, you learn a lot of resilience. You learn a lot of, and it's all the breath. I think a lot of things that people do, I get asked all the time, like with like cryotherapy or the float tanks and things like that. People ask me like, well, I do the float tank for 45 minutes. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. It's something bad happens at work. You can't just be like, oh, hey, time out. Let me go sit in the float tank for 45 minutes and then come back and I'll reassess the situation when I'm in the right state of mind. It's like, no, but you can sit and pause for a minute, focus on your breath, and then come back and be like, okay, this is how we're going to handle this. So, I mean, the breath is just is everything. It regulates so much. People don't talk about it enough, and I think we're really like making waves in terms of just how important it is, and just so many different tips and tricks. And I love that the Wim Hof method is one of them. That is just one of the tools in an endless supply of just amazing, massive, beautiful chest.
I so agree. And it's something that I think people from the beginning of time knew, and we just sort of took it for granted, like so much, like, oh, we take a first breath when we're born, and then we take our last breath when we die. And yet there is all of this. I was reading this morning that the word breath in Hebrew means wind, and we know it means spirit in the Latin from the similar. And so it's just this powerful, ethereal piece of ourselves that is present, and is such a, like you said, it can be such a amazing connection to our heart, to who we really want to be, as opposed to how we're showing up. And just being able to take that pause is incredibly valuable. So what
Absolutely.
would you say, since our audience is primarily teachers and people that work with students and in schools, is there something that your older self wants to say to your younger self as a student, or or a point in your life when there was a teacher that did something that made a difference in your life, or you as an adult working with students, that's something valuable that you found? Any of those feel like speak to you?
I feel like the ones that really come up to me when I think of just teachers are the ones that always had the biggest impact on me were the ones that practiced what they preached. The ones that I know that if either coaches or anything, they're like, hey, look, this is what we're doing. And if I know that they could do that and show me as an example, it just makes me more on board to do that. So it's like, if I had a teacher that's just like, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. This is how we should handle the situation in a calm demeanor, but they're yelling at me about it. It's just like, I don't understand what's going on. But I think that's always a big one. And I've always really loved and appreciated those teachers, especially when I came across the ones that like never really did. And then for teachers, and this is a big one for myself, is making sure that I'm a teacher for myself, making sure that I am doing the things that I am putting other people through. So it's like making sure that, like, I don't know, I've used this analogy with you before. If a plane's going down, make sure I'm putting on my own oxygen mask first before I go and help somebody else. Because if we keep constantly giving and going around and not really focusing on us, not only is it going to hurt us, but it's eventually going to, our message that we want to do and deliver to people is not going to be as strong as what it was. And so just getting back to that, because at one point we had to do that in order for us to be in the position that we're in now. And it's just, now that there's more people and students involved and the stage is getting a little bit bigger, still making sure that you take this time for yourself. And that's why I love doing it for this app. There's been a few other apps that have reached out to me that wanted me to do it. And I didn't really agree. I agree that everyone should have access to this, but I wanted to kind of wait until it was a population that I really, and a demographic that I felt could really benefit from this. And it's teachers. Teachers are the ones that are always making sure everybody else is okay, but not taking the time for themselves. So that is always the biggest one that I have to remind myself of as a teacher. So just going back and seeing, okay, everybody's good, everybody's good, everybody's good. But then it's like, what about me? And it's not selfish, it's not anything, because you have to keep that light on in order to pass it on to the next person. So making sure that listening to your body, making sure that you are okay, and getting the rest that you need, doing the things that you need, taking the time for yourself in order to be the best for you and for your students. So that's why I think I'm so excited about this demographic and the population for this app.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you do have caretakers and givers, and the people that are pulled to certain careers, they are the ones that give, and they give to a point where they are so depleted. And I think of that image of like a calm pond and the rock dropping in and those ripple effects. But if we're not that, if we can't be, if we're turbulent and everybody that's in that water is basically drowning with us, or we really aren't serving in a way that really we intend to be. So I think that it's paramount. And it's one of those things where we can have a million reasons why we think we shouldn't do it. But at the end of the day, we're only as good as we are to others as we are to ourselves. And that's a real piece of humble pie and it's easier to look out and think, oh, I can help them, or oh, they have their problems. I always think it's easier to see other people's problems than my own. So it's I think it goes back to what you said, those teachers that really were the examples were the ones that were taking their own lessons, learning their own, and then they learned by modeling. You as a student saw that, and that was a positive thing that you wanted to emulate.
Exactly.
And kids can see through that stuff. We know.
Big time. Big time. Big time. Absolutely.
Well, it's been such an honor to be able to speak with you. Such wisdom from, I'm sorry, you feel so young to me, but there is such wisdom in that young, fabulous person that you are. And so thank you so much, Marcus Bradley, the Breathing Vegan. We're going to put his, we're very fortunate to have a track in the library, and we wish you all the beautiful journeys that life can bring. And Marcus, thank you so much for taking time. I'm so grateful to be on this Zoom with me and with the JabuMind team.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.